I couldn't help but think back to that chilling night years ago that I just couldn't forget. A few years ago, when I had just graduated college and was starting my first job, I moved into a small studio apartment on the older side of town. The rent was cheap, which suited me fine as I was living on an entry-level salary. The apartment building itself seemed worn down, peeling paint, creaky floorboards, dim fluorescent lights flickering in the hallway. But the apartment unit itself wasn't so bad once I moved my secondhand furniture in. It was a quiet Wednesday night when I returned home from work as usual. After microwaving a frozen dinner and eating it while watching the evening news, my typical routine, I cleaned up and headed to the bedroom. As I changed into my pajamas, I noticed the distinct feeling that something was off. My bed seemed different. The blankets were rumpled on one side, as if someone had been sitting there. Strange, I thought. I'm positive I made the bed this morning. I cautiously approached the bed and slowly pulled back the comforter. Nothing. There was no one there. You're being ridiculous, I told myself. You live alone. Settling down under the covers with my book, I tried to relax before sleeping. That's when I felt it. A subtle but noticeable dip in the mattress beside me. My breath caught in my throat. Eyes wide, I frozenly turned my head to the side. The indentation remained, as if someone was sitting right there. Panic flooded my veins. I lived alone, didn't I? Heart pounding, I slowly reached a trembling hand toward the depression. Cold, empty space met my fingers. Swallowing hard, I gathered my courage and leapt out of the bed, flipping on all the lights. I checked under the bed, in the closets, behind the shower curtain. Nothing. Uneasy, I sank back into bed while keeping the lights on. I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination. In the morning light, I tried to brush off the events of that night as just a bad dream, or my mind playing tricks. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right about that apartment. The presence I felt was real and chilling to the bone. I didn't bother much about it and just brushed it off. But one day my brother had come to visit last weekend. We ordered pizza and watched a movie before settling in to sleep. I insisted he take the bed while I slept on the couch. In the middle of the night, he rushed out of the bedroom in a panic. "There's something in your bed!" he cried. I tried to convince him it was just a bad dream, but he refused to go back to sleep in there. In the morning, he couldn't explain what had frightened him, only that he felt a strange depression in the mattress, like something sitting right there next to him. I brushed it off, but now I wondered. It wasn't until that weekend that I realized I wasn't the only one who had experienced it. If we had both felt the same weird presence, it couldn't just be my imagination. Something sinister lurked in that apartment, making itself known in the vulnerability of night. That was the final straw. Having both experienced that terrifying feeling of something sitting on the bed next to us, I could no longer write it off as my imagination. This apartment was haunted by some entity that made itself known at night when you were most vulnerable. Within a month, I had broken my lease and found a new apartment on the other side of town. I didn't care that it was more expensive and farther from work. No amount of rent savings was worth spending another night in that place with whatever presence lurked there. I was just relieved to finally move somewhere I could sleep soundly, unafraid of what the night might bring. I had always enjoyed living alone. The quiet and solitude of having an entire house to myself was something I relished after years of cramped apartments with roommates. But that changed after that night. As a 28-year-old with a demanding job, my nights alone gave me a chance to unwind and follow my own routines. I appreciated being able to cook a late dinner in my pajamas without judgment, or stay up reading trashy novels without interruption. That night I had indulged in a long hot bath before slipping into bed early, exhausted from a tough week at the office. I had just drifted off to sleep when I woke with a start, my heart suddenly pounding. Something had brushed against my hand ever so lightly, tickling my skin. I lay still, straining to see in the darkness. Nothing but shadows. Must have been a dream, I told myself. But the phantom touch still lingered. I rubbed my hand, trying to shake the unsettled feeling. Glancing at the clock, I saw it was a little past 3 a.m. The house was quiet. I settled back onto my pillow, pulling the covers tight. Just my imagination playing tricks, I thought. I was almost drifting off when it came again. A soft, subtle caress along my fingers. My eyes shot open. This time I was sure I was awake. I stared hard into the dark room. The shadows seemed to waver and dance, but revealed nothing. My pulse was roaring in my ears now. Gingerly, I slipped my hand under the blanket, away from that insistent, unwanted touch. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing sleep to come and take me away from this night. Suddenly, the mattress dipped near my feet. My whole body went rigid, paralyzed with fear. Something was here with me, watching me, touching me, toying with me. I wanted to scream, to turn on the light, but I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe. The presence was slowly crawling up the bed. I imagined it hovering over me now, a dark specter come to claim me. When I could bear it no more, I threw off the covers and leapt up, crying out. I flipped on the light switch. My room was empty. Everything looked normal, but my skin still tingled where the unseen visitor had stroked it. I did not sleep again that night, for I know now that I'm never truly alone here in the dark. Something far more sinister than my imagination haunts these rooms when the lights go out. I decided to adopt a dog from the local shelter, hoping some companionship would make me feel safer at night. I chose a medium-sized mixed breed that the volunteers named Cleo. The first few nights with Cleo were uneventful. She would curl up at the foot of my bed as we slept. Her presence brought me comfort. But about a week after I brought Cleo home, I was startled awake in the middle of the night by a low, menacing growl. My room was dark and still. Cleo was sitting up stiffly on the bed, every muscle tensed, staring fixedly at my closed bedroom door. Her hackles were raised and her teeth bared. I felt my blood run cold. Something was on the other side of that door right now. I was certain of it. I could almost picture the shadowy figure standing there, peering in, watching me just as it had before. My heart pounded as Cleo's growls intensified. She looked ready to lunge at whoever, or whatever, was out there. I was paralyzed, gripping the blankets, afraid to even breathe. After what felt like an eternity, Cleo finally laid back down, though her body remained vigilant. I waited and listened for any sounds in the hall, any sign of an intrusion, but there was nothing, just an ominous silence hanging in the air. I did not sleep the rest of that night, nor did I sleep well any night after. But as the days and nights passed with Cleo keeping watch, the ghostly presence that had tormented me seemed to dissipate. Soon I stopped feeling the chilling sensations and uncanny shadows around the house. It was as if adopting Cleo had driven the spectral entity away for good. Her companionship and protection broke whatever haunting grip the ghost had over me and my home. For that, I am forever grateful to my loyal four-legged friend. Thanks to Cleo, I can finally sleep soundly and peacefully once more. It's been a week since that fateful Sunday night, but I still can't get the chilling images out of my head. I never believed in ghosts or the supernatural before, but after what I saw in my bathroom mirror, I don't know what to believe. The shock of that evening lingers with me constantly, no matter how many lights I turn on or how crowded a room is. This is the story of the night that will be forever burned into my memory. I've lived alone in my small studio apartment for the past year, ever since my roommate moved out to live with his girlfriend. It can get lonely at times, but I've gotten used to the solitude. I try to keep busy on weekends when I don't have to work my office day job. It was a quiet Sunday evening and I was home alone. After cooking myself dinner, I decided to take a long hot shower before bed. The steam from the shower left the bathroom mirror completely fogged up. I wiped away the condensation and peered at my tired reflection as I brushed my teeth. That's when something strange caught my eye. Behind my shoulder in the mirror, I thought I saw a dark figure standing in the hallway. I whirled around quickly, but no one was there. My heart began racing as I turned back to the mirror. Had I imagined it? I finished up in the bathroom and nervously walked down the hallway to my bedroom. I tried convincing myself it was just my mind playing tricks, but I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. As I got into bed, the mirror at my dresser grabbed my attention. Through the moonlight, I could swear I saw the shadowy outline of someone peering back at me. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. After a few terrifying moments, the figure in the mirror disappeared. I leapt out of bed, turned all the lights on, and searched the entire apartment. No one else was there. I didn't sleep well that night, constantly checking the mirrors anytime I had to leave my bed. To this day, I still wonder if it was just my imagination, or if I really did see something unnatural in those mirrors. Something from the other side that was trying to get my attention. Now I can't even look at a mirror in my home without getting goosebumps. To this day, I still wonder if it was just my imagination, or if I really did see something unnatural in those mirrors. something from the other side that was trying to get my attention. In the brightness of the morning, I tried to convince myself it was just my overtired mind playing tricks in the shadows. Over a fresh cup of coffee, I laughed it off as letting my imagination get the best of me. But even now, I can't look at a mirror in my home without getting goosebumps, a chill running down my spine that brings me right back to that terrifying night. I know I saw something in those mirrors, something that I can't explain rationally. As much as I try to brush it off, deep down the fear remains of what lurks on the other side, waiting for me should I gaze too long at my own reflection again. In the weeks since, I never saw the ghostly figure again in any of the mirrors. The apartment has remained peaceful, no further paranormal occurrences. I almost managed to convince myself it was all in my head, a trick of the light and shadows. Almost, but not completely. The memory of that figure peering back from the glass still lingers, and I doubt I'll ever look at a mirror in the same way again.